Hello and welcome along to the Wednesday preview. David Short and Troy Iwanek with you. How are you, Troy?
Yeah, very good, Shorty. Great to be here, and what a big weekend we just had.
Yeah, wasn't it spectacular? The Vicks really did steal the night themselves. Of course, the Perth Cup going the way of Aston Rainer for Ned McDonald. We'll go into that in detail shortly. Galaxy going the way of Jeff Britton with Mapunga Lara. The consolation, Mailata, well done to Jamie Marsh. The other of the consolations, Tarawai for Cosy D'Agostino, and the other Galaxy consolation was another Victorian result for Jeff Britton, with Texas President getting the job done. Let's go back to the Perth Cup though. We've got a replay here, Troy, and have a look at the early acceleration from Aston Rainer for Ned McDonald. This is the move that sets up the race there in the early stages. Zooms to the top. Intimidation is a really, really big run. This dog lobs into second position there and is nice and close to Aston Rainer. Behind them, Giacomo, Aston Freddy, Frogs Manelli, they're all there trailing in. Aston Rainer down the back, just as they're about to turn for home here. Intimidation gets very close and checks off heels, loses all momentum. That allows Giacomo to get into second position, Aston Freddy and Frogs Manelli to come over the top, but in the end it's a very impressive win for Aston Rainer. Giacomo loses no friends in second. Aston Freddy, Cody Charles said this dog would run a nice race from the wide draw. It runs third, and Frogs Manelli back in fourth position. But all credit to Ned McDonald and Aston Rainer, the visitor from Victoria. Troy set it up with that sizzling early split. Anytime you go sub 540, there's a jetpack on.
Yeah, we heard, we spoke last week, I should say, to start with, that we might see improvement from this greyhound based on what it had done in Victoria and what we saw in the heats, and it didn't let us down. Improvement, definitely. Box speed, just another level, and when you can run out the boxes like that and get yourself an advantage, what do they say? When you're in front, you're halfway home. So big advantage, and in that race when a local hope in the two, I've just lost its name for a minute. Iconic Jet, sorry, didn't quite jump and get the start 100% right, and when Aston Rainer jumped and landed on the arm, it was very tough to beat. And then that little bit of interference, like you mentioned, just gave it enough gap, but I don't think it was going to get caught anyway, to be honest, the way it was running.
Did a good job. Giacomo strong there late, but well done to the Victorians, the visitors, Cornellering the Group 1 Perth Cup, and then on to the Group 1 Galaxy, and Jeff Britton in town with Mapunga Lara. We did touch on it last week that it was a really nice performance, finishing the race off. It dropped on them sort of down towards the 600 metre boxes last week and then just ran away with it. Well, once again, that strength was there for all to see on Saturday night. In the early stages, though, cheeky, very cheeky indeed, was reinvigorated for Ad Smithson. This greyhound puts a really nice gap on the field in the early stages of this particular race, and it's left to Destiny Lane and Mapunga Lara to lead the chase to try and get out after reinvigorated, who's out by some 8 or 9 lengths there with a lap to go. But you can just see as they get down the back that Mapunga Lara is really starting to put into the big ones. Destiny Lane stuck with it for a fair portion. It was a nice effort for a dog that's been going around in easier races. But over that last little bit, Mapunga Lara, the strength comes to the fore, and it just gets there to knock off Reinvigorated, who I thought was a tremendous performance in defeat. Well done to Ad Smithson. This dog's got plenty of races left to win here in the West, no doubt about that. Destiny Lane was back in third. It didn't go to plan for Ironworks, who finished back in fourth. But congrats to Jeff Britton. Mapunga Lara, really strong stayer, and as you've mentioned, Troy, it looks to have a very bright future as it heads back home now to Victoria.
Yeah, I think we saw in the heats that this greyhound just hit the line so strongly, and from what we saw based on that and what we know about the greyhound, it just looks to have such a future going ahead. It looks like a true stayer, and Reinvigorated, we touched on last week. We thought that could be the early leader and might just set the race up for a greyhound like Mapunga Lara to take the sit behind. Didn't go 100%. She had to work a little bit harder than we probably thought she was going to in the run, but once it got into that position, Reinvigorated had lost no admirers from that incredible run. But Mapunga Lara is just that probably step up at the moment in its career, and I'm not sure where they're going to go next with it, but staying race, look out, because this greyhound is on the rise.
Indeed. So big night there for Jeff Britton, taking out the consolation as well with Texas President, along with the Galaxy final. Let's get into chasing this upcoming Saturday night out here at Cannington headquarters. 4 heats of the Keith Harding Canny Trophy, and just quickly want to pay tribute to a fine man, a Hall of Famer in Keith Harding. Since I followed the sport going back to my teenage years, he was a dominant force along with his owner Mike Bate through that period of time. They dominated WA greyhound racing with litter after litter by light of fire. And you turn up to the track and there were many nights where they'd be training 3, 4, 5 winners a time, dominated all the juvenile ranks with their litters that were coming through, and when he had a top liner, he got the very best out of them. But I think the true test of Keith Harding and his training ability was he'd often have a litter that didn't show a lot of ability, and he'd still find a way for a lot of them to win 15, 20 races and make success out of those litters. He was a master mentor.
Yeah, very good trainer. That success of between Mike Bate and himself, it just carries on. That Brit Mark line was incredible, and a true legacy, and someone who definitely needs to be noted in the sport
and recognised. Yeah, spot on. Let's get into the heats themselves. See if we can't help you find a winner. First of them is race 3 on Saturday night. Frogs Manelli, fresh off 4th in that Perth Cup. The run the week before, 29.45, was sizzling. I thought was the clear greyhound to beat. In 6, Farmer Russell, very good, finishing placed in a Perth Cup heat and then consolation. And Garrity's well suited by a wide draw for Ad Smith, and it can hit the frame as well. I've gone 3, 6 and 7 in the first of the Keith Harding heats on Saturday night.
Yeah, look, Frogs Manelli, love the dog, but he's so enigmatic at the moment as a young dog, and it's just hard to know when he's going to get the start right. If he jumped in this, he wins. It's simple as that, in my opinion. But for that reason, I'm sticking with Garrity on top. I think Garrity was a really good run the other week. I liked what I saw, and I think in this race, it could be the one that gets on top. So I'm going to put Garrity on top. Frogs Manelli second. Like I said, if it finds the arm, it's going to be the one to beat. And Farmer Russell for third.
On to the second of the heats, race number 4 on Saturday night. Justice Foreman goes around here from box number 5. Greyhound that can be hit and miss at box rise. If it gets it right here, I think it'll give plenty of cheek. 7, Naughty Evie's been racing well for the Shane Train. 3, Miss Ronnie Mack, once again last week finishing 4th in that Galaxy Consolation. Steps back to the 500 here. Will be very, very strong to the line. And number 1, Hudson off the draw, I think will give plenty of cheek. Didn't have a heat between them. 5, 7, 3 and 1, the second of the Keith Harding heats.
Yeah, a bit similar, Shorty. Look, Justice Foreman I think he's the best dog in the race. I'm just not sure how consistent it is early. So for that reason, I'm going to stick with Hudson on top. I think from the red draw I can find the lead. It is a little bit vulnerable maybe late, but I think it might be able to hold on here. So Hudson for me, Justice Foreman second, and Naughty Evie for third.
On to the third of the Keith Harding heats, race number 5 on Saturday night. Numbers for me here, 5, 7, 6 and 1. 5 on top, Justa Piastri. Very, very talented chaser, as we're all aware of. No luck at its last couple. Pryor was hot. I think it'll be hard to beat. 7, Spencer deserves enormous respect. This greyhound, of course, went down there to Mandurah, took out one of the features down there. Returned from a bit of a freshen up for Rocket Rod Noden last time out, when placed over the 400, back up to 500 here. Massive chance. 6 in King Nangar, coming off a nice win last Saturday night, and the red Pat Card not been going all that well of late, but the draw brings this greyhound into the race. 5, 7, 6 and 1 for me in the third of the Keith Harding.
Bit of a theme going for my tips tonight, Shorty, and Just Piastri again, I think one of the best dogs in the race here. Incredible talent on the rise. Can get the start wrong at times, and that's where it lets down a little bit. I'm going to put it on top, but I'm not 100% confident it needs to lead here. I do like Spencer. I think this greyhound returning off that little bit of a break, what we saw at Mandurah in its return, it's been very, very good, and I think stepping up to the 500, they wouldn't have it in this if it wasn't ready to go. So I'm pretty keen on that greyhound. So 5 and 7, and Pat Card for third for me off the red. I think that greyhound comes into this race nice off the red, and King Nangar for fourth.
All right, and we'll round it out with the fourth of the Keith Harding Canning Trophy heats on Saturday night at Cannington. We'll go to the replay as well here. Tarawai last week was a really nice performance, taking out one of those consolations for Cosy D'Agostino. Draws box number 1 here for this particular race, and as we see in the replay, greyhound with excellent early burn. Looks to set its wins up with that excellent early pace, put a bit of a gap on them down the back, and granted that last little bit can be a little bit scary, does get a little wary in the run-in, but the early pace pace, and box number 1 here sees it very hard to beat in this particular race. So that was impressive from Tarawa, taking out that consolation. Draws well here, one of the key hopes. I thought number 3, Pursuit Special, who of course is coming off a run in that Perth Cup final. The heat win was outstanding. And 5, Strip Weathers, looks a great roving banker sort of dog here. You'd expect it to hit the frame. It's very consistent, finishing its races off nicely and running into that 2nd, 3rd, 4th sort of slot. So I'll rove around with it, but not much between 1, Tarawa, and 3, Pursuit Special. How do you see the 6th race on the program on Saturday night there, Troy?
Very, very similar, Shorty. Not much difference at all. They're the 3 I've got in my tips as well. Tarawa, Pursuit Special, and Strip Weathers. I'm probably leaning towards Strip Weathers just because I'm just concerned Tarawa might get a little bit tight up front. We expect it to lead here, expect it to be doing what it did the other night. Yes, it did hold on the other night, but I'm just wondering if some of these dogs might get a clear run behind it and just get the sit on it. So Strip Weathers on top, Pursuit Special, Tarawa for me.
Excellent. They are not easy races, it must be said. All 4 heats of those Keith Harding Canning Trophy. A little bit of luck early may go a long way, but that said, very competitive, all 4 of them. So looking forward to seeing those. The free-for-all as well on Saturday night's a cracking race. We get to see our Aussie Salute, Starlight Snowy, Pam Keeping, Iconic Guess, Iconic Jet, and Mylata. And Italian Stallion was a good winner from the pink draw last week. Draws the floss again for Jay Jacobson. So that'll be another real highlight race on the program Saturday night at Cannington. All right, Troy, we'll head to Thursday night, Mandurah. See if we can't build a bit of a bank for the weekend upcoming. I'm going to head to race 10 on the card and going for a greyhound that is dropping a long way back in class by the name of Ned. It comes up with box 6 here in race number 10. Now, it doesn't have the attributes that I generally would fall into in a race over 300 metres. He's not a great beginner, Ned, but he can muster through okay, and he's comfortable in a wide draw. Now, he's been placed 7 of his last 12, and a number of them were in free-for-alls. So he's now in a country grade 6 where a few of the opposition here have only won a couple of races in their lifetime, and you're coming up against a dog who's competed and been placed against our best short course dogs in the state. Quite simply, with clear running, I think Ned's got a class edge on these, and he'll get a much deserved victory to get himself back up the grades. And sometimes a win can be all it takes for dogs like this to get their confidence back and work their way back up the grade. So hopefully for Rod Noden, that's the case with Ned. I'll be teaming up with him on Thursday night, race 10, number 6. Who's your best bet for Thursday night, Troy?
I was just going to say, surely that could be the omen bet, Ned, after Ned McDonald winning the Cup.
Could be.
A bit of an omen there for the punters at home.
Indeed.
Now, I didn't get the winner last week. You did, Dancing Dennis. I missed. So my time has come, Shorty. I've got to find the winner this Thursday.
Okay.
And that's my tip. Time has come. Race 7, number 4, 22.54 in a satisfactory trial. Yep, satisfactory trial. Dogs can run quick times in those because it's a small field. But last week came out 22.65 in a race conditions and got the job done. I like this greyhound. I think this field suits. I think it is well positioned. It can find the top early, I think. So time has come for me. Race 7, number 4.
Indeed. Beautifully done, Troy. Thank you very much for that. We'll be cheering hard for a race 7, number 4, and race 10, number 6 on Thursday night down there at Mandurah. That's the Wednesday preview done and dusted. Thanks for your company. Make sure you get trackside this weekend. Of course, great chasing. Greyhounds WA Cannington with the Box 1 restaurant in operation there, and then down at Mandurah on a Thursday and Friday night as well. Get in contact with the team at Greyhounds WA.
Just before we go, Shorty, and obviously leading up to the Sandgroper, a big event coming up, so plenty to talk about on the Wednesday preview as we look at who the slots are going to be filled by.
Indeed, yeah. There's more great racing to look forward to here in Western Australia over the upcoming weeks. Can't wait for the Sandgroper. That's us done and dusted. Thanks for your company. Make sure you tune in again this time next week for the Wednesday preview.